Well, it's not often we get to talk to somebody who's been so influential to the human species as our next guest. It's as simple as that. Tilly, over to you.
If you're planning on Googling something, checking Instagram or listening to the Virgin Radio app today, then you have our next guest to thank. He's the founding father of the World Wide Web, and his memoir, This Is For Everyone, is out now. So everybody turn and see Sir Tim Berners-Lee!
Let's hear it for Sir Tim! How are you this morning, Sir Tim?
Great. Good to be here.
It's such an honour to talk to you. I know you've been interviewed to death over the last 30 or 40 years, let alone 30 or 40 days. And here comes some more of the same questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Go far away.
Okay, so for people who don't know, what was Timple?
Timple was Tim's programming language.
Right.
So there's lots of programming languages. So they were called APL and BPL and C and I had one which I invented myself. So I called it TimPL.
It's a great name. Have you ever thought to resurrect it for something nowadays?
It was a really, really simple programming language.
Right.
But that's a good idea. I should think about that. I should think about that.
Of course, everything's about a name nowadays, isn't it? How old were you when you invented Timple, and what did it do?
Timple was when I was building my first computers. I come out of university, so I was in my 20s.
Right.
And the computer which I built out of sort of an old TV and so on was really wasn't a very powerful computer by today's standards, but so things like Timple were necessary for running it.
And what happened to Timple? When did Timple fall off the radar?
Ooh, a long time ago.
Oh, was it superseded by something else in your world?
There's a language a bit like Forth, called Forth, which is probably still around.
Right. And if you don't mind, can you also speak to what part J.R.R. Tolkien's work has played in your life and your career?
Well, I really like the maps.
Yeah.
So, for example, Tolkien maps, people every now and again I've made a Tolkien map of the whole web experience. And so, also, love the books.
Yeah, and so you recognise patterns in that have helped you develop various systems.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Railways. When you were little, you had model railways.
Yeah.
Again, a network. I was talking earlier on. Was there some seeding in your subconscious of a network from a railway that stayed with you?
Could be. I really like trains. Well, I went to the manual school, which is right between two railway lines in London.
Right.
And so every time a train went by, it would interrupt the classes. And so everybody in that school was really into trains.
Yeah, and networks and roads and railways and now the World Wide Web.
Connections. Yeah.
Connections. 100% connections. So you were 34 when you pitched the idea of the World Wide Web. When you were 33, did you have any idea that was going to happen when you were 34?
Yeah, I did. Because, in fact, when I was 31, so basically, people talk about the eureka moment, but I think that's nonsense. There's no such thing as a eureka moment. What happens is years and years of getting interested in things around networking and connections and so on, getting interested in computers and networks and so on. And so, in fact, it wasn't as though it suddenly occurred to me at all. It was a long process. I actually had an Inquire within program thing called a program called Inquire, named after a book on my parents' bookshelf, which was a precursor to the web, which allowed you to connect arbitrary things together. It was a sort of note-taking program.
And when you pitched it to the chap, your senior at CERN, was he like a senior professor?
My boss's boss, in
Your
fact,
boss's
yeah.
boss?
Yeah.
Your boss's boss. So did you wait? Did you have to book the meeting in advance? Did it nearly not happen? And tell us about that.
So he kept telling me, I kept telling him that we should be building this hypertext thing. We should be uniting hypertext and internet. And so he said, make a memo about it. So I said, okay. So I wrote a memo about it, and And then so I'm asking him again about it, and he said, well, why don't you write a memo about it? And I said, well, you know what? I actually did write a memo about it, and I sent it to you, and that was a year ago.
Oh, no. So it was a year.
So I republished the memo with 2 dates on it.
Oh, my gosh.
With March 1989, comma, May 1990. And so, but in fact, when we found later on, then the nice thing about that in a way, so unfortunately Mike Sendell, the person in question, died 10 years later of cancer. When Peggy, his better half, went through his things, she found that memo that I'd written.
Oh my God.
And in the corner, he'd written in his handwriting, vague but exciting.
This is what I heard. I heard this story. So, vague but exciting. And I was talking earlier on the show about the order of those words. Vague but exciting. The other way around.
He didn't think exciting but vague.
Yes, exactly.
Or he wouldn't be doing it. He wouldn't be talking about it now.
Do you agree?
Yes.
It's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
The order of words. Only 3 words, like the World Wide Web. Vague but exciting. I suppose exciting but vague.
Yes.
It's like you're dismissing it, aren't you, if you put the first word second.
Absolutely.
So when you came up with the World Wide Web and you pitched it, and he said vague but exciting, and you were 34, and that was 1989, 1991. What was the next tipping point? Was there a moment? Was there an adoption moment by your industry and then the public? Can you give us like the 3 headlines, please, of that journey?
Well, the first headline was there's this web server where you can learn about the World Wide Web on it. My own website, the first web server, and the load on that went up by a factor of 10 every year for the first 3 years. So maybe the second thing was a simple thing, the CERN phone book. We had a web server for the CERN phone book. CERN had 10,000 people in the phone book, and people would log onto the computers to get the online version. So at the time, they really needed a decent online version of the phone book. And so I persuaded them to use the web. So they made the second web server was the CERN phone book.
And in a way, it was like, I don't know when music was invented, but music would have been here and it would have been there. And then suddenly it goes, it's like algae on a pond, isn't it? The day before it's covered with algae, it's only 50% covered with algae. The compound interest of the take up. Could you sense that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the load on the server, it was doubling every 4 months. So that meant it was going by a factor of 10 every year. And when you plot it on a graph, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000.
Yeah.
Then and you could put a ruler through it. It was a exponential takeoff. So we knew that the load on our server was going up by this exponential way, and so. Meanwhile, other people were putting other servers on there, so in fact the web was growing even faster.
And because now reading your book, it's obviously condensed into a couple of 300 pages. Was it as exciting at the time, or because it was over a couple of decades in the end? Was there a moment of revelry, or what was it like to be you on the other end of what was going on?
There was no one point when we would when we could all celebrate and say, yeah, it's done, because we still can't. We're still trying to build the web to be a better web than the one that's out there. We're still trying to build. When the web first came out, there were anybody could make their own website, and that was really exciting. But right now we don't have that excitement, so we don't have that sense of digital sovereignty, and so now. We still can't celebrate. It's done.
You talk about digital sovereignty a lot, don't you? But what does that mean for people who don't know what that means? What does that phrase speak to?
It means the power. It means the power as a person. When you make your own website, if you can make your own website and you can link to Chris's website, or you can link to your family's website, or you can link to the New York Times website, and basically you have the power to link to anything. And as you make those links in your blog, then you are making a fabric of incredible richness. The blogosphere, we called it, the set of all the blogs out there, was very powerful. and people just love being a part of it. So that sense, we call that digital sovereignty, the power that on the web you are equal to everybody else.
Yeah, you're a big fan of the blogosphere. You say that word a lot, don't you? It seems to be very fond in your heart.
Yes, I wish we could get back there in a way. So anyway, podcasts are a bit like blogs. They're the audio version of blogs, and so if you're, to the extent that you feel that you could make your own podcast, then you can be. That gives a certain amount, that feeling of power,
agency.
Agency.
Yeah, and it's human-centric, isn't it? And the more human you can keep in something, the more the technology remains your servant, as opposed to maybe becoming your master.
Right. You want it to be your servant because you want to be blogging what you want to blog without. You don't want to just sign into a system which then gets you doom scrolling through all kinds of bad things.
Yeah, and it's the difference between being able to cook your own food, grow your own food even, grow, garden, harvest, cook your own food, as opposed to just having to buy processed food and then becoming hooked on that and then becoming a sort of slave to that for the rest of your life. And that, would you say that's the difference between the two?
Yes.
Between social media and homegrown stuff. When did the first clouds appear on the horizon of the World Wide Web?
That's interesting because it happened gently, bit by bit. People got more and more involved in the social networks. The social networks originally were competing with each other, and then there was Friendster competing with Facebook and so on, and MySpace, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And so there was a time when there were lots of different social networks, and you could choose one. Now, kind of everybody's on the same one, so it's more boring.
And your book is very central, or what's central to your book is you doing anything you can and encourage other people to do anything they can to help to police, without nanny stating the World Wide Web, to police the web as responsibly and joyously as possible. Who is doing that best in the world at the moment, and what are they doing?
I think the people who, podcasters are doing that pretty well. People who work on things like if you work on Wikipedia. See, Wikipedia is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
The people who are actually working on editing Wikipedia, fixing the bugs in Wikipedia, they are wonderful people. And everybody in the world can take advantage of that Wikipedia as a resource. But there's a few people who are actually editing it themselves, and they're very special people.
So basically, when human beings get involved, at a sort of personal level, and are sort of at the controls of whatever it is, it seems to be better in that instance.
When people individually, when they're collaborating, when they're creative, when they're collaborating, also when they're compassionate with other people.
Okay, and what do you think we can do about that as individuals? Because your environment is very dominating, isn't it? You can't play rugby on a cricket pitch, but it's much easier to play cricket when we're surrounded by the Googles and the whoever's. By the way, and I'm not casting any stones at anyone particularly. What's the best thing we can do as mums and dads, as co-workers, as just individual members of the public? What do you think?
I think the thing to do is to avoid things like TikTok. Spend your time looking at the social media. The social media are very different. On Pinterest, I've never heard of anybody being addicted to Pinterest, but you can.
That's
plan
interesting.
You can plan a holiday there. You can collaborate with people on Pinterest. So if you do that instead of being on TikTok is very hard. People. I don't use TikTok at all. So one of the things, because I just I don't want to spend my time.
It's funny you say that, because my 13-year-old Eli loves Pinterest, and he's unbelievably creative. He's a brilliant painter. He's a great designer. He wants to be a fashion designer when he grows up, and he's all over Pinterest. And his mum, who's also very creative, not that she'd ever admit it. She'd get embarrassed if even me saying this on the air. She's designing her own bathroom at the moment, and they're both all over Pinterest. It's interesting that you should say that. So what is there one difference between things like Pinterest and things like TikTok? What do you think is the defining difference between the two?
The difference between them is that TikTok things like TikTok are designed deliberately to be addictive.
Right.
So the algorithms, when they put the code together, which runs TikTok, they make it. They use algorithms. You can take courses at Stanford University on how to make a website addictive.
Yeah.
So it's a known thing.
So it's their job to keep distracting you under the guise of entertainment or information or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Because I like YouTube.
Yes.
What do you think about YouTube? I'm a big fan of YouTube. What do you think?
Well, me too. Although, if there's one thing, yes. Although when a lot of things in my life, I follow links to something on YouTube. But then once I've watched something on YouTube, I tend to hang around there a bit.
Yeah, I do. I do not too much. I do as well. Did it last night actually, but I just after reading your book. When you were little, who was your first maths teacher? Can you remember your first maths teacher?
Well, the maths teacher I remember is Frank Grundy at my secondary school.
Right.
Who was a wonderful guy.
Did he what did he spot in you, and how different was it to the rest of your classmates?
Well, there were a few of us. There were like 3 or 4 of us who were really sort of interested in math, and he could see that we were interested in math. And he had this twinkle in his eye, so he'd say something to the rest of the class, sort of, and then he'd say to us, sort of, "Do you think that's true for all n?" Or make the problem more difficult for us.
Yeah.
But he was also a great fan of bridge. So if you were playing bridge in his class, then he'd be pretty happy with that too.
Right, and that was a common trait for maths pods, was it? Playing bridge.
Well, if you played bridge, you wouldn't get in trouble in the maths class.
Got it. And from your own, inside your own mind, did you have a dream of things like this happening? Because we talked about the subconscious day and the conscious, and and I dreamt about the show last night, and it's often very useful. My dreams are very, very useful. I bring them in sometimes, and we do things. Did you have any visions of what was to come? Did you have any like pre-20s images of things?
Not dreams, but images. I think lots of. Programs that I wrote before the web were like Inquire Within, for example. They were they were programs in the image of the web, if you like. They were sort of, if you like, they were attempts to get towards the vision of the web in a sort of sideways way.
I read once that most scientists, famous scientists or successful scientists, whatever that means, almost exclusively achieved the thing they're most remembered for between the age of 17 and 28. It tends to be a young thing. Have you experienced that? Do you think you peaked at 34, 35, 36? What's it been like since then for you and your brain? And
it's been great, actually. So I think, so after, so I'm 70, but 65, I was working for like 7 years ago, we started a company, a startup, so that's my day job, and so I'm.
What do you do? What is the day job?
So Inrupt is, I talk about it in the book, Inrupt.com. So it's building a world in which you have more in which you have digital sovereignty. It's building a world in which you have a sort of we call it a digital wallet, but you have a place where you can put all your data. And you can put, it's like having a bit like having a backpack full of data,
right?
But each zip of the backpack you can give access to different people. So I could give you access to just the medical data, for example, if you're my doctor, and so on. So it's building these sort of backpacks for data, these digital wallets.
The book is called "This Is for Everyone," which of course is the famous line that you uttered on the Olympics opening ceremony when you were requested to appear by Danny Boyle. In the book, you also described the backstage atmosphere and who was there.
That was so amazing.
You knew it was a big deal, but you weren't quite ready for how big a deal it was. Just reminisce about that night, if you don't mind.
Well, working with Danny Boyle was amazing. Yes. Well, there are so many people remember there was a dress rehearsal where you weren't allowed to tell anybody, where the people could go, your friends could go and see it, but they didn't tell anybody about it. For me, I was in a little
bubble.
I was in a house on the stage.
Wow.
And all of the people who were dancing beforehand, they had to exit the stage through that house. So I'm standing in the house with my back to the wall, and coming towards me are all these people. And each one's got their own dance costume. So they're all dancing their hearts out. And so all these people, incredibly, who just had the dance of their lifetime, are coming to me through the door, and they're going left or right. If they went straight on, they would have hit me.
I love it.
So that was just incredible.
And you saw Daniel Craig there and all these other stars there backstage, and you thought, oh my gosh, this is a thing and a half.
The names on the dressing room, yeah.
Did you know about the Queen? Were you aware of that? Did you know that secret was happening? The Queen at the beginning, when Daniel Craig flies in.
Yeah. Do we know about that?
It starts with the Queen. Do you remember?
I do remember.
Did you know about that, or
we didn't know about it?
You didn't know about that,
no.
so it was super secret.
Yeah,
do you have a credo by which you live your life? Do you have a philosophy?
I think to respect people. I respect people. I respect people that do things I can't do because they're just better at it than me. And I also respect people that do things I'm not prepared to do, like do the garbage.
Right. Okay. No, I get it. I get it completely. Have you always sailed?
But ever since Plessy Pool, I've sailed a little bit. I'm not a great sailor, but I do enjoy it.
Because you talk about your affection for your boat and up in Canada, and
it's only a little boat. It's a little
14-footer, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, it's a little catamaran that you can sail around a lake pretty easily.
How does it feel to have had such an influence on the rest of us? I mean, do you ever take pause to think about that?
Not really.
No, I didn't think
too short.
I didn't think you did.
You can't spend all your time thinking, wow, I invented the web.
Yeah. Wow. It's another W. Wow. The World Wide Web. Wow. No, not wow. And what do you think it's still got in store for us on the sunny side of life? What can the World Wide Web still give us? Where's it going to go?
Creativity, collaboration, and hopefully compassion.
Yeah.
It depends on how we use it.
Depends on how we use it. That's a tool, yeah. A hammer can be used to build things or destroy things, can't it? It's the same with all great tools. Lee in Edinburgh, Tim is wonderful and has truly changed the world. So interesting to hear from him. Michelle says, we had a toast to Sir Tim Berners-Lee at our wedding 12 years ago. My husband Chris and I met via the internet in our 40s. Our paths would probably have never met had it not been for you.
Oh, that's nice.
Worldwide weddings. And Claire says, in 2001, I sat the European computer driving license to get into IT. Tim's amazing. The only thing I can remember from that day to this day is Tim Berners-Lee inventing the World Wide Web in 1989. Wow, what a life. Great book, Tim. Great book. When do you fly to America?
In about 10 days.
Okay. And how many have you've been to the White House, I would imagine? You've been to the Palace? You've been to all those places?
Not all those places, but I've been to the White House. I've been to Buckingham Palace.
What's it like?
Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
So with the Queen, when the Queen was around, she was really amazing. Actually.
You were part of the Order. What's the Order of Merit? 24 people. What's that about? The Order of Merit.
It's 24 people. It's a sort of club where you get lunch every now and again.
So it's not just a one-off thing. You're in it for a while.
The Order of Merit, you're in for life.
For life.
Yeah.
24 people. So you have to. Somebody's got to pop their clogs before a new member arrives.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's quite a high bar, isn't it? Can we hear it, please, if you don't mind, for the one, the only, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, inventor of the World Web. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.